Have you ever stopped to think why some people are able to transform their lives and achieve financial freedom while others seem to be stuck in an endless cycle of difficulties? It seems like they do everything right, they try hard, but they never get there. And deep down you may wonder, what am I doing wrong? Is it just the circumstances, or is there something deeper behind it? The truth is that the difference between those who prosper and those who remain trapped in a limited life is not only in big decisions, but also in subtle, almost imperceptible things in everyday life. Small behaviors that accumulate over time and become invisible obstacles for those who want to grow. These habits are like hidden anchors. You don't see them, but they pull you down, preventing you from moving forward. But what really defines whether someone will be able to free themselves from this cycle? Is it a matter of luck or chance? What many don't realize is that the secret to getting out of this trap is to abandon these habits before they become chains that imprison your life. And most importantly, understand which behaviors are keeping you stuck. So, have you ever thought that you might be sabotaging your chances of success without even realizing it? That's why in today's video, we're going to talk about the habits that are silently keeping you poor and what you should do to free yourself from them once and for all. It may be uncomfortable to hear this, but it's the truth that will open your eyes to finally take the first step towards the change you so desire. Now take a deep breath and think, if you could get rid of all the obstacles that are holding you back, what would your life be like? That's exactly what we're going to discover together. But remember, for this video to have an impact, it's important to be willing to face reality. Sometimes it's easier to blame fate, the economy, or even other people. However, for those who truly want to prosper, it's essential to look within and make adjustments to what is truly within your control, your own habits. If you are ready to discover which behaviors have been sabotaging your journey and how to eliminate them, then grab a pen and paper, because this video could be the turning point you've been waiting for. Type the phrase, "I'm ready to change my life and prosper," in the comments, because that's the attitude of someone who wants something more. First, let's talk about something that everyone has heard, but few really understand: the behavior of settling for the bare minimum. Often the problem is not the lack of opportunities, but accepting any condition and thinking that this is enough. Imagine someone who gets used to always being in the same position and never seeks more, whether in their professional, personal, or any other aspect. This type of conformism gradually extinguishes the inner fire of those who want to grow. And then, even when an opportunity arises, the person is unable to take advantage of it, because internally they have already become comfortable with living on the basics. For example, when you get used to spending all your income without thinking about tomorrow, you are planning to live on the edge forever. This puts you in a vulnerable position where any unforeseen event becomes a big problem. This is what is called a scarcity mentality, a way of thinking and acting where the focus is only on the present and never on building something in the long term. People with this type of thinking end up making decisions that only bring immediate satisfaction, but leave a void and more problems in the future. And this is a dangerous trap, because people who live like this start to accept unfavorable situations, thinking that there is no other option. Have you noticed that many people even convince themselves that there is no way out of this situation, that it is just the way it is, and that there is nothing that can be done? Well, this is the mentality that we need to break. If you find yourself in this situation, say to yourself right now, "I refuse to accept less than I deserve." Another habit that keeps people stuck is looking for someone to blame. Believe it or not, blaming the government, the crisis, the boss, the market, or anything else becomes a vicious cycle. At first, it may seem natural, even a legitimate way to vent, but over time, it becomes an excuse that takes away all your power. Because when you believe that something or someone is solely responsible for your failure, you lose the chance to act and do things differently. To thrive, you need to break this behavior and start taking control. Change happens when you stop focusing on what is beyond your control and start focusing your energy on what you can really change. Because if everything is always in the hands of others, how are you going to transform your own life? But it's not enough to acknowledge this. You need to change and take action. Want an example? Start asking yourself today, every time you face a problem, what can I do to improve this situation, even if it's just a small step? The idea is simple but powerful. Replace complaining with action. Do this, and you'll be taking one of the biggest steps towards prosperity. So, if you're already committed to putting an end to excuses and taking control, say to yourself right now, I am responsible for my success. This is the kind of statement that will change the way you see things. Another important point is to get rid of the behavior of procrastination. This is one of the most common habits that keeps you in the same position for years. How many times have you put off something important for later, telling yourself that I'll start on Monday? Procrastination is an invisible poison that delays your plans and keeps you exactly where you are. Every time you put off an important action, you're reinforcing the idea that your dreams can wait. And do you know what happens? Nothing. Life goes by and you remain in the same place, watching time slip through your fingers. And that's where the danger lies, because when you realize it, you've already missed many opportunities to grow. So every time you feel like putting things off, stop and think, what is this costing me? Is it worth letting life pass you by just because of a little discomfort? So say to yourself now, I'm not going to postpone my success any longer. This attitude is what separates those who prosper from those who fall behind. But there's another behavior that holds many people back, the fear of making mistakes. Believe me, the fear of making mistakes is one of the main obstacles for those who want to grow. Because instead of trying and learning from their mistakes, many people prefer to do nothing and stay where they are. And in the end, the result is the same: stagnation. The problem with fear is that it paralyzes you. It stops you from taking risks, from seeking new opportunities, from trying something different. And the truth is that no one can prosper without facing some risks along the way. So instead of seeing mistakes as something bad, start seeing them as part of the learning process. Whenever you feel afraid to try, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And if I don't do anything, what will happen? Usually, the pain of standing still is much greater than the pain of trying and failing. So it's time to leave that fear behind and act with more courage. If you're determined not to let fear control you, comment now. I'm going to turn my mistakes into steps to success. Because that's what separates those who grow from those who hide. To end this video, remember, changing isn't easy, but it is possible. And the habits that keep you poor can be eliminated with practice and focus. If you liked this content and want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any tips on how to prosper and transform your life. Another behavior that keeps you stuck in the same place is the lack of planning. Without a clear plan, you end up living adrift, reacting to events instead of creating your own destiny. Many people think that planning is complicated, or that only those who already have money can do it, but that is not true. Planning is, in fact, a map that helps you get where you want to go. Without it, you end up going in circles, wasting energy and time without getting anywhere. It is like sailing in a boat without a course. You move, feel the wind, but never get anywhere. If you are not clear about where you want to go and how you intend to do it, you will end up accepting any result and adapting to situations instead of shaping them to your advantage. And so even if opportunities arise, you will not be prepared to seize them. So say to yourself now, I will plan my path to success. This is the first step to not letting yourself be carried away by the current of circumstances. But a plan is only valuable if it is followed through with execution, and that's where many people stumble. There's a common habit that prevents many from prospering, spending more time thinking and planning than actually doing. They create a perfect plan in their heads, but when the time comes to act, they get stuck. Whether it's because of fear of failure, lack of confidence, or even pure procrastination, the fact is that these people never get off the ground. Planning is important, but it only works if there's action behind it. And this cycle of thinking too much and doing too little drains all your energy. After all, without seeing results, you get discouraged and start to question whether all the effort is worth it. That's when many give up, thinking that nothing works for them, when in fact all they need is a little more initiative. So if you want to change that, say, I'm going to turn my plans into actions from now on. Because only with concrete actions can you build a better future. Another subtle trap is the lack of discipline. We often think we need motivation to move forward, but the truth is that motivation is just the starting point. It gets you moving, but it is discipline that keeps you going when your enthusiasm fades. You know those days when you wake up with no desire to do anything. It is discipline that keeps you going. Those who prosper are not those who always feel motivated, but those who take action even when they don't feel like it. Think about anyone who has achieved great things. They didn't get there just because they were excited every day. On the contrary, it was in the most difficult moments that they proved their determination. So if you are waiting for the perfect moment or the right mood to start, know that it may never happen. Discipline is what will keep you on track, even on the most difficult days. So say to yourself, I choose to be disciplined and consistent in the pursuit of my success. And speaking of discipline, there is a common mistake that is easily confused with it: stubbornness in not changing strategies. Many people believe that persistence means continuing to do the same thing until it works. But sometimes the problem isn't persistence, but the path you're following. It's not about giving up on your goal, but rather adjusting your route when you realize something isn't working. Getting stuck in an approach that doesn't bring results is a waste of time and energy. Those who achieve success are those who know when to change. The ability to adapt is one of the factors that most differentiates those who win from those who stay in the same place. Because while some insist on pushing a door that never opens, others have the wisdom to look for new ways to get through it, even if that means starting over on a new path. So, if something isn't working, it's time to change your strategy and not your dreams. If you understand this, say, I'm going to adjust my route to achieve my goals. Another behavior that keeps you from success is clinging to comfort. When you get used to your comfort zone, any change seems scary. And this is the biggest trap. The fear of leaving this familiar place prevents you from exploring new opportunities. Comfort seems safe, but in reality, it's what often traps you in a limited life, because that's when you start to get comfortable and stop challenging yourself. But real growth happens outside of your comfort zone. It's when you feel challenged, out of balance, that you really start to develop. Think about any achievement you've ever made. They all required some kind of sacrifice or effort. So whenever you feel tempted to stay where you are, remember, your comfort zone is the greatest enemy of evolution. Say to yourself right now, I refuse to live in a comfortable state, and start seeking new challenges. Furthermore, there is a very common habit that blocks progress: pessimism. When you always expect the worst, you end up attracting situations that confirm this negative view. It's like wearing sunglasses on a sunny day. You only see shadows, and even worse, your brain starts looking for justifications to prove that it's right. It's a self-reinforcing cycle, and each time you give in to these negative thoughts, it becomes harder to see opportunities. That's why mindset is an essential factor. If you want to break out of a cycle of difficulties, you need to start training your mind to look for the positive, even in adverse situations. Of course, it's not about ignoring problems, but rather asking yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this obstacle into a springboard to something better? This simple adjustment in thinking already puts you in a position of strength rather than weakness. If you agree, comment, "I choose to think positively to prosper." Another crucial point is the lack of priorities. Without knowing what is really important, you end up getting distracted by things that don't take you anywhere. And as a result, you waste precious time. Sometimes people get so busy with so many small tasks that at the end of the day, they feel like they haven't made any progress. And this generates frustration and fatigue, as if they were running around without getting anywhere. The key is to learn to say no to things that don't contribute to your growth. Focusing on what really matters is what makes you progress. Stop for a moment and think, what are the 3 most important things that, if you do them, will have a real impact on your life? Write them down and focus your energy on these areas. Don't let yourself be distracted by things that only consume your time without giving you anything in return. If you want to change your life, say, "I'm going to focus on what really matters." Finally, one of the most destructive attitudes is not believing in yourself. You can have all the resources, all the opportunities, but if you don't believe that you are capable of achieving what you want, nothing will happen. Self-confidence is the basis of every achievement. Without it, any challenge seems bigger than it really is. But confidence doesn't come out of nowhere. It is built with each step, with each small victory you achieve along the way. So even if it seems difficult now, don't stop believing. Believe in your ability to transform reality. Believe that you are capable of learning what is necessary and overcoming the obstacles that arise. Because at the end of the day, what keeps you most stuck is not the circumstances, but the belief that you can't do it. If you are ready to believe in your potential, comment, "I am capable of achieving everything I want." And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos about how to transform your life and achieve the prosperity you deserve. Let's go on this journey together. See you in the next video.